Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in A Course in Miracles workbook for students, part 2 of the workbook, section 14, What Am I? Lesson 352. Judgment and love are opposites. From one come all the sorrows of the world, but from the other comes the peace of God Himself. Forgiveness looks on sinlessness alone and judges not. Through this I come to you. Judgment will bind my eyes and make me blind. Yet love reflected in forgiveness here reminds me you have given me a way to find your peace again. I am redeemed when I elect to follow in this way. You have not left me comfortless. Let's go ahead and read footnote 178. John 14:18. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. I have within me both the memory of you and one who leads me to it. Footnote 179. The Holy Spirit is the one who leads me to the memory of God. Father, I would hear your voice and find your peace today, for I would love my own identity and find in him the memory of you. Lesson 180. Him refers to Christ, my true self. And now we will read the commentary by Alan Watson. Lesson 352. In the introduction to the text, Jesus says the opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. Here he says that love's opposite is judgment. If you relax your mind and let your thinking go loosely associative, it is fairly easy to see that judgment and fear are the same thing. If I judge something as bad, dangerous, or evil, I will fear it. If I fear something, I will judge it as bad. In the Two Emotions, chapter 13, it is clear that both love and fear are a way of seeing and that different worlds arise from their different sights. The same thought is expressed here about judgment and love, and in the surrounding sections of chapter 13 it is very clear that in giving up the past we are being asked to give up judgment. The same network of thoughts is there that is found here. I think in this lesson the Holy Spirit is viewing two attitudes or two activities rather than two emotions. It is the attitude I have towards others that is in focus and how I extend myself towards them. Do I love or do I judge? Rather than how the other person impacts on me, which is the focus in the Two Emotions section. The focus here is on how I impact on the other person. The difference is in the direction of the flow of energy. Here the flow being considered is from me to the other person. All the sorrows of the world come from judgment. No wonder the Course asks us to relinquish it. To love is not to judge. To judge is not to love. Loving brings us peace. Judging only sorrow. How to find peace? Give love. Forgiveness looks on sinlessness alone and judges not. Through this I come to you. Forgiveness means not judging. How can you judge and forgive at the same time? Forgiveness sees only sinlessness because only sinlessness is what we are. And through such forgiveness we approach God. Judgment will bind my eyes and make me blind, yet love reflected in forgiveness here reminds me you have given me a way to find your peace again. The Course makes a point several times of what is implied here by the phrase, love reflected in forgiveness here. Love in purity is impossible in this world. No love in this world is without ambivalence. The closest reflection of love in this world is forgiveness. So the contrast here is really between judgment and forgiveness. By choosing to forgive my brothers rather than to judge them, I find my own peace again, the peace of God. Peace is lost to us through judgment. It blindfolds us to the truth. Love, which is perfect only in heaven, is still reflected perfectly here in forgiveness. There is a way to find our way out of blindness, and the way is forgiveness. It is affirming the unreality of our perception of sin in anyone and everyone. I am redeemed when I elect to follow in this way. You have not left me comfortless. I have within both the memory of you and one who leads me to it. We were lost, sold into slavery by our own hand. But God did not abandon us. He gave us two things. It's interesting to notice the distinction here. He gave us, 1, the memory of God in our minds, and 2, the Holy Spirit who leads us to discover that memory. Many times I've heard people say that the Holy Spirit is the memory of God within us. That isn't how it appears here. The memory of God is something that is truly my own, part of me. My own right mind remembers God. The Holy Spirit is the guide who leads me back to rediscover the hidden treasure within myself. Father, I would hear your voice and find your peace today, for I would love my own identity and find it in the memory of you. The memory of God lies in my own identity. In remembering myself, I remember God. Let his voice lead me to that remembrance as I sit quietly with him today. I have very powerful help, and where that help leads me is to the point of loving my own identity. I cannot love what I am unless I love in the form of forgiveness everyone else. That is so because what I am is identical to what everyone is. We are all the Son of God, the Christ. If I judge others, I am judging myself, because I am what they are. And now, if you'll please close your eyes, I will lead us into meditation. Judgment and love are opposites. From one come all the sorrows of the world, but from the other comes the peace of God himself. Forgiveness looks on sinlessness alone and judges not. Through this I come to you. Judgment will bind my eyes and make me blind, yet love reflected in forgiveness here reminds me you have given me a way to find your peace again. I am redeemed when I elect to follow in this way. You have not left me comfortless. I have within me both the memory of you and the one who leads me to it. Father, I would hear your voice and find your peace today, for I would love my own identity and find in him the memory of you. you so much for joining with me in the meditation of Lesson 352. Now we will read Alan Watson's commentary on paragraph 1, sentences 4 through 6 of What Am I section. I am the holy home of God Himself. Wow, that makes more of an impact on us put that way than simply saying God is in me. I am God's home. Home is not just some place God happens to be. It is where He resides, where He chooses to be, where He can make Himself comfortable, so to speak. In Psalm 132:14, God is said to have proclaimed about Zion or Jerusalem, "This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it." Now we are His home. Now He speaks to you and to me, saying that we are His rest forever, that He will dwell in us because He has desired it. That was His intention all along when He created us. I am the heaven where His love resides. We may have naively believed that God lives in heaven and not in us. Here we see that yes, God lives or resides in heaven, but we are heaven. What a mind blower that is. I'll bet you have thought for most of your life that if you were good enough or you were holy enough, or if you'd have enough faith, you'd get to heaven. Sorry, no go. You can't go to heaven because you are in heaven, where God's love resides. I am His holy sinlessness itself, for in my purity abides His own. Did you notice that all three of these sentences use the words about God's place of residence? The holy home where His love resides, in my purity abides His own. God isn't just passing through. He isn't just visiting. He lives here in me, in you. This is His home. He abides, stays, remains here in us. I have to confess that I can't quite wrap my mind around the idea that I am God's holy sinlessness. Sinlessness seems like a rather abstract concept. I have a little trouble understanding how I can be sinlessness. The second half of the sentence helps me out a little. For in my purity abides His own. I can sort of grasp it by an analogy. A parent who gives his or her time and energy to raising a child, teaching the child all that they know, finds their own success and happiness in that child's success and happiness. My child's happiness is my own. My child's success is my own. I think it is similar to that. God extended Himself as us. What we are is His extension. Our purity is His. If we are not sinless, no more is He. We are what He is, extended outward. If I am not pure, He is not, for our nature is His. If we are what He is, then it is true in reverse. He is what we are. Therefore, I am His holy sinlessness itself. I thank you so much for joining with me in Lesson 352. Judgment and love are opposites. From one come all the sorrows of the world, but from the other comes the peace of God Himself. I love you. Thank you.